Okay, so today I've just had a massive breakthrough with parawinging. I've gone from a huge struggle bus to suddenly a lot of it clicking halfway through today's session, and for the first time ever I've achieved part one of my aim in parawinging, and that is to use it with foil drive to be able to just go upwind and then pack it all away and use full drive to get up on foil and send it with the downwinder. And like I say, a lot of struggles, a lot of fails, a lot of cursing going on, but today, I think the actual downwind stretch at the end was 8 kilometers, and that took me half an hour. Going upwind, I went right out and then jibed, fell a few times, jibed, and then on my weak side fell so many times. But like I say, halfway through that run, it all clicked and it started to feel nice and comfortable, and I was really hammering it upwind for the first time, properly a good angle on my switch stance weak side. So I was just over the moon to be able to. It's early days, it's very, very early days, so it took me about an hour and a half to do that cutting upwind, and like I say, half an hour to do the downwind. I covered 16 kilometers going upwind with the parawing, but in that hour a lot of it was falling, a lot of it was me just trying to figure things out. I think I can cut that down by half, so for every half an hour going upwind, possibly the same for downwinding. That is something I've got to figure out, and I expect it will still take me quite a long time to get to that stage, or to whatever the that sort of ratio is. It could be 1 to 1, I'm hoping. It could be 2 to 1. I'm talking a time ratio for going upwind compared to downwind. So this has really got me. I would not be doing this parawinging lark without foil drive. So today I was on the 60 litre Axis foil drive prone downwind board, so mid-length. Perfect, absolutely perfect design for parawinging as well as foil drive downwinding. I used the 60 litre today because the wind was a little bit cross offshore, so I had to get up on full drive. This was just on my back, get up on full drive and go out at least 2 kilometers before I got to the wind line, so the wind wasn't obstructed by the land anymore. So maybe 2, maybe 3 kilometers. I'll measure it on Google Maps because I've tracked this whole journey. I'll put a picture of that in a second. And yeah, that's another advantage of using foil drive with the parawinging. If the wind drops, or if the wind picks up too much, these things don't have the best range in the world, and just to be able to pull the trigger and help yourself get up on foil, when you're on foil, these things are okay. You know, they're I don't know, it's like that whole thing of once you're up on foil everything's more efficient, then it's not too bad. But using these to get up on foil, at the moment, that's the difficult bit. Full drive for me now is it's super simple and easy. Even in lulls I can get up on foil, then this thing kicks in and keeps me going. So safety, for a safety point of view, full drive really, I was like, I don't know, I'll measure it on Google Maps, 4 or 5 kilometers out. I was heading towards a yacht at one point, and the yacht I was like going, whoa, that's at least 2 kilometers. I was, I don't know, 1 kilometer out already. I was thinking, God, that yacht's at least another 1 or 2 kilometers out. And at one stage I went so far past it, I looked back and I thought, oh my God, I'm at least 1 or 2 kilometers beyond the yacht. So yeah, that's a little bit risky being out there on my own, just with the parawing. So full drive, such a good combination for safety. If one fails, you got the other to help you get back in. Foil drive does make it easier to get up on foil. You can use, the aim is, although at the moment today I was on the, this is the Spitfire 1100, so big foil, but this is my advice. I'm not an expert, but I know what's helped me, so just to be able to put that out there, go out on flat water, maybe a lake, definitely flat water. Swell just makes everything 10 times harder. And I mean everything, not just getting up on foil, but the lines tangle so much easier, and oh wow, yeah. First 2 or 3 sessions I went out in swell on the ocean, bad idea. As soon as I got on a lake, my progress rate just skyrocketed. Yeah, the bags for your Parawings. This is the 5.5, yeah, the 5.5 D-wing from Flow that I used today, and it's in the NSI bag, because this, I researched it, this is quite a big bag. It's a lot bigger than the bag that Flow D-wing gives you. This one just about fits the 4 fine, no problem at all, the 3 easy, but the 5.5 is just a nightmare to get in here when you're sitting on your board and bobbing around, or when you're trying to concentrate on downwinding and stuffing it in here, it's just impossible. So I had a good old look around. The NSI, nice big canopy here, a big pocket I should say, or pouch, huge netted area at the bottom for drainage, and a nice simple system of just pulling on that, and you can get it super tight to reduce the likelihood of water getting in when you fall. Because yeah, that's another thing. If you fall and this is all sort of open and water gets into the actual Parawing, it can weigh 2, maybe 3 kilos of water. I haven't actually measured it, I'm just sort of coming off the water going, damn, that feels like 2 or 3 kilos. It's a nightmare for this being around your waist when you're on foil with a couple of kilos of water trapped inside your Parawing. It destroys the foiling experience, the downwind experience. It just throws me off balance. I mean, even just gliding on top of the swell, you can feel it trying to pull you down, and it's, you know, it's like I've put on a ridiculous amount of weight. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, does it? 2, maybe 3 kilos, but wow, I was so shocked at how much of a difference it made to the overall falling experience when there's water trapped in the bag. So yeah, netted bottom is essential, drainage holes, absolutely essential. I mean, there's so many things so many mistakes I've made, so many things I've done wrong, just to get to this point. So I'll do another video and just explain all the things that I can think of that have helped and hindered me. But yeah, that for me today is such a leap forward. I was excited about it before, sort of like a grim determination, but now I'm absolutely hooked. The potential for foil drive and a Parawing to just go upwind and then just pack it away and forget about all this redeploy and stash business. That is next level difficulty, if you ask me. I mean, wow, yeah, I'm not at that stage at all. I would rather just hammer it upwind as far as I possibly can, and then put it all away and just focus on a really nice long downwinder. I can see double the amount of today easy. So if you're in the Netherlands, or you want to look it up on Google Maps, I started off at my local beach, Langevelde Slag, which is just north of, about 10 kilometers north of Noordwijk aan Zee. And I'm guessing it's around about 10k from here to Zandvoort, maybe 8, I don't know. And then you've got Zandvoort, and then beyond that you've got Bloemendaal. So I can see easy going up parallel with Zandvoort and coming back again. But going the next stage to Bloemendaal, and I'll tell you what, I'm setting my aim right now. My goal, my target is to get to from here or Nordvik all the way up to Immerden. And I apologise for slaughtering the pronunciation of all these lovely towns in the Netherlands. Yeah. Doesn't roll off my tongue as easily as it does for the local Dutch people. So yeah, more parawinging hijinks to come, but yeah, so stoked with how it's going so far. Oh yeah, and one more thing, there's no GoPro footage from today because it's just another thing to get those fucking lines tangled around. I did look up on Google Earth to do some measurements, and it turns out that the distance from Nordvik to Zandvoort is approximately 16 kilometres, and my start and end point, Langeveldeslag, was roughly halfway in the middle. I've also added a few details to the GPS trace, and if you consider that the total distance I travelled during this session was 24 kilometres, and the part that I know, the downwind part of it, I know was 7 kilometres, so that leaves 17 kilometres for the rest of it. And again, the first part where I was just using full drive to e-foil out to the wind line, that was about 3 or 4 kilometres. So that means I was probably parawinging for around about 13 or 14 kilometres. Now, that was according to one of the wind apps that has historical wind data, 10 to 17 knots was recorded at Zandvoort, and similar down in Nordvik. So the D-wing has got really good low end. It's got a lot of grunt, and that makes it pretty easy to get up on foil and very stable when you're on foil, but I'm not sure how well it handles gusts, especially the 5.5 meter, which I was using in this particular session. And I think because I was such a long way off the coast that it was probably gusting over 17 knots. There were times where I was literally finding it very difficult to control the gusts, and there were a couple of times where I was literally pulled right over the handlebars and had some pretty severe wipeouts. There were also times where the parawing was literally dropping out the sky, and for a couple of minutes finding it impossible to relaunch until the wind kicked back in again. I don't think I've had a single session yet with a parawing where the wind hasn't been super gusty. I mean, from proper lulls to being properly overpowered. I can't wait until I have a session where the wind is pretty consistent. I probably won't know what to do with myself, but I am looking forward to it. So to deal with the gusts, I am starting to use a harness. Now, I've used a harness when I was kite surfing and when I was wing foiling, so I'm pretty used to them. But what I'm finding at the moment is that while a harness is great for relieving the pressure on your arms when the wind is consistent, or at least when you're in the wind range of your parawing, when the gusts hit, oh my goodness me, it's literally, that's when I was being pulled over the handlebars. I find it very difficult to control a parawing when it's super gusty if I'm in the harness. I find it easier when I'm not in the harness. You would have thought it'd be the other way around. If I'm consistently overpowered, then yeah, I think a harness would be very easy to control it. But at the moment, like I say, I've only ever really been out in super gusty, inconsistent conditions. But I am convinced that the harness will make these super long upwinders much, much easier and, well, just allow me to do much greater distances. I have flown the Ozone Pocket Rocket, but only on the beach. So that's not the greatest way of telling its performance on land. But what I did notice from flying it on the beach was that it flies very quickly to the front of the wind window. And as such, I can imagine that characteristic would help it to absorb gusts
and possibly give it a better upwind performance, better upwind angle. Don't know for sure because I haven't tested it on the water, but I have ordered one, and I will be testing a fair few different brands and seeing how their Parawings compare for my particular use case, which is for doing long upwind runs. I'm not really into this whole stow and redeploy a number of times, going up and down short distances. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that with the foil drive only, because then there's nothing else that you have to worry about, and I find that's such good fun. But for long distance upwind runs, so I can do a really lovely long downwind run, that's why I'm using a Parawing. And that brings me to my challenge. This is what I'm setting myself as a target. 25 kilometre from Noordwijk to IJmuiden, and I want to do it on a prone board, somewhere between 30 and 40 litres. Now, that's my ultimate goal. This is very early days yet. I'm still very much in the learning stages. The first one I've just done there had a ratio, I don't know what that ratio is, but it was 24 kilometres total on for that session, and it only resulted in a 7 kilometre downwind run. I am hoping, and I'm pretty confident, that I can get that ratio down to at least 2 to 1, so twice the amount of time upwinding with the Parawing. But I think that there could be potential to reduce that further. It would be amazing if it could get down to a 1-to-1 ratio, so the same amount of time upwinding as downwinding. Unlikely at the moment, but let's face it, Parawings are in their first evolution. We're just beginning to see the first early adopters, the first early inventors, just released their second version. That's BRM. I don't think anybody else is on their second version yet. So look at where kitesurfing was when it first evolved to where it is now. Look at where winging is now compared to the first wings. The wind range is huge. The upwind performance is way much better. I'm fully expecting Parawings to follow the same trend and make some really big improvements over the next few years. This is a really exciting sport for me because it's opened up long distance upwinders. And that's not the only reason why I'm so excited about this combination of using foil drive with Parawings. First of all, there's the smaller boards. Second of all, smaller foils. I've never really been a big fan of, okay, let's say it how it is. I hate big, long boards. And for me, foil drive is a way of using a much smaller board. I've been using a 60 litre board for learning parawinging, just because it makes it easier. But normally 60 litres and much over 5.0. I think my 60 litre board is 5.4. And I wouldn't use that normally. It just feels too big for me. My 50 litre 5.0 Axis full drive mid-length is the biggest that I like and still retains that lovely performance feel to it. But I prefer to go smaller when I possibly can. So smaller foils. It's so much easier to get up on foil even with a big board if you want to use a smaller foil, to just be able to pull the trigger and get that extra speed that you need in order to be able to take off. And then, like I've said before, the Parawing takes over no problem at all. Another reason is because it eliminates those horrible shuttle runs. Such a waste of time. I want to be on foil the whole of my session. I don't want to spend however long it is with the logistics and just all that time driving around. Yes, I admit there will be limits even to using Parawings with full drive to the distance, the length that you can do. I don't think I'll be doing 40-kilometre upwind runs with a Parawing. I could be wrong. Who knows what's possible in the future? If anybody out there is already pushing the boundaries in terms of doing long upwind distances with a Parawing, please let me know. I'm under no illusions that I'm a pioneer in this. I do not think that I'm leading the charge. I know there are people out there who are way beyond my skill levels and have already achieved way more than the target that I've set myself, but I'd be really interested to know who is doing distance upwind runs and how far they're going, and specifically how long it's taking them to do whatever distance upwinds. That would be really interesting to know. So please reach out if you are. The last thing I want to include in this video is possibly one of the most important points, especially when talking about long distance runs, especially even more if you are long distances off the shore, and that's safety. So having full drive and a parawing, it really helps to reduce the risk. You've got a backup. If one fails, the other can help. And I cannot emphasize this enough, that this isn't the only safety consideration you should have. For example, a mobile phone in a dry pouch in your wetsuits, having a personal flotation device, telling your partner or a friend or a family member when you're going and when you expect to be back in. There are apps and watches and other devices that you can carry on you to actually link to the emergency services. Carrying a flare, maybe a tourniquet. There's so much that we could go into in the safety aspect that I'll maybe make another video on it. Now, the Netherlands itself is actually quite a safe place to do long distance upwind or downwinding or both, because the coastline is so, well, it's just one long gigantic beach from way north of IJmuiden all the way down to Den Haag. It's, I don't know, around about 150 kilometers of coastline. It's all just one long beach. And as long as you don't go out in an offshore wind, then the swell and the wind is going to help you get back into shore. And for me, I wouldn't go more than a kilometre or so offshore without at least 50 litres to float me. I have in Australia, when I was in Australia, I was, I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 2k off the shore. I ran out of battery and I was on a 37 litre board, and I don't know how long it took me to paddle back in, but long enough for me to be worried. And I didn't want to do that again. So I tested a whole load of boards, and 50 litres for me is the minimum that I feel comfortable that I could paddle in a long way. Obviously not against the wind though. So safety, please, when you're talking about going out to sea or long distance, I think this is a huge consideration, and it's obviously really, really important. So there we go. So many reasons to combine a full drive with parawinging. This is such an exciting journey. I think we've got a lot of improvements to be made in a very short space of time, like everything in foiling has done so far. So that's it for now. I will carry on posting examples of what I've been doing and keeping you up to date with my journey and progress, and cross fingers that I managed to achieve my target of 25k by the end of the season. So stay tuned, more to come. Cheers.